Just let me know when you're ready. Borrow. All right, morning, everybody. Welcome to the June 17th special meeting of the Benito County Board of Supervisors. All meeting to order. Start with pledge of allegiance by Supervisors. Help.
Ready, Ben? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's have a motion to acknowledge the posting.
So second.
We have one item today, which is our continuation of our budget hearing from last week. Budget hearings began June 9th, and we're continuing to Tuesday, which today, June 17th. And we'll be continuing on from that portion. What we might most to do is to go through presentation. We have Budget Officer Salonzo, and then would open up. I think it'd be wise to open up in those continuing for additional public comment if there's public comment as well. And certainly want to give all different heads opportunity if they would like to share any additional thoughts. We won't restrain with 3-minute rule as department heads are. So Dulce, kick it off.
In public, where's that public for me? I mean, budget officer. I'm sorry, I'm looking at our bio. Budget officer Salonzo. Thank you for having me this morning. Before we get started, I really want to say thank you to the auditor office for since last meeting we have reviewed the proposed recommendation, reviewed it, see if there's any opportunities for further cuts. To come up with a process of the revisions if it. And I really want to thank Anne, who is on and Paul for spending extra time really getting in and trying to come to solutions. And also our team who has helped get us to this place today. So the mentioned, continuing the budget hearing from June 9th, and we're going to view information, accept information, and today we're looking for to provide staff direction on the final budget resolution. And we can bring the resolution at the next regular meeting if the board so chooses, reflecting any other changes that are directed at the board. And then also the motion is direct the CEO or designee to take necessary initiative actions to satisfy and income requirements, if any, are required. So highlight you guys have seen this at presentation, this highlights what budget development process includes. So started board priorities and then and department head instruction.
You'll stop.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you. But then we received the budget deliberation and added together the recommendation, and here we are in budget hearing, and this is just a brief overview of the process. Like I mentioned, day June 17th, these are a few of the timelines. I just want to highlight we've met, and after the board adopts the recommended budget, a final budget comes to board for adoption later fall of 2025. Okay, so hitting back to January 28th, the board had 4 key areas of focus. It include housing, road improvement, homelessness, and tourism, economic opportunities, and ways of revenue as a whole. Briefly, for departments were asked to make to their current budgets reductions in our current year. Following that, in January, department meetings, there was discussions and requests from the MCA to make further reductions in their budget in their recommended budgets that were made. February, we had Rebecca Campbell, who joined the team and helped kind of guide us through the budget process. And then in March of this year, the talk was dated, and June 8th, we had initial budget hearing continued today. So some things that have led to where we are is, and when we've had leadership transition and there's timing challenges, we noted there's incorrect applications. There are one-time funds that have been miscalculated. There's been overstated abuses, and identify the need for funds clarity. And historical budget is identified in our consulted representation at the LS meeting. So kind of highlight. Actually, this agenda is the presentation that consulted, and their scope included looking at revenue projections and reservables. So it's included on that it is revenue growth and keep up with inflation. There's ongoing needs that aren't being our current revenue doesn't sustain our current expenditures. Cost of providing services is increasing. While programs continue to extend at the same time. Wages and benefits have increased in recent years to retain talented employees to provide money services. And there's also an ongoing template long-term reduction strategies. So a bit of sense. So in our last meeting, we mentioned Prop 172 and they're going to public review budgets. So we took the million and use public safety to sheriff operations that would say sheriff jails and also district attorney and fire. And between the 4, there was an allocation, and the allocation is based on their expenditures. on their net county costs. This budget also includes revenue from community facilities districts that are going in county operating budget. That includes EMS, so emergency for ambulance services, the sheriff, fire, and in amounts of warning. I have a slide. We'll go into further discussion on how we got those numbers and what took to into them in the last meeting. Okay. So some assumptions that were also used this budget are we incorporated Beacon's budget with exception of Lake City. So those implement a Beacon's budget public safety. We began implementing long-term debt reductions by with departments and requesting for cuts. What's included is we do have an increase in mobility compensation of approximately 1.4 million. We have an increase, and we do have some general fund carryover projects from last year's, and we'll go in the deal for a product and then 6,049,000 of projects. This budget does not include any still living adjustments or any increase in health insurance. So still some key drivers driving our impact are revenues coming from state and federal. There's still uncertainty on if there's going to be further cuts. I know a commissioner who relies heavily on the funding is concerned there might be reductions in the horizon. So we're keeping a look at that in federal and Excel. So what we did, we're working with Joe Ball's office and after boards meeting, that was when we added all the positions with the option of one back into budget, limited all CIP projects in the general fund, and we identified our opportunities that include, because we approved of fire contract, there was a reduction as well. There's also savings and salaries due to miscalculation that saved us some 600,000. So with that, we were able to bring on the general fund budget from 107 to 94 million, but it's still at the target the board at 85. So still have deficit 20 million with all those reductions and adding back people. So just a reminder, so this current year we're in, it was adopted for our adopt budget with a balance of 15 million. We anticipated using reserves of 34 million. Total budget was 107. So from them, there has been a reduction. Then next is our recommend and last column is our adjustment. So anticipating finally running over some projections. No, sorry. In our current year, this is the first year we had departments do projections on where they would end up at the end of the year. So based on the projected numbers, this is where they anticipate how much would actually be spent. And based on the number, we anticipate a starting balance of 5 million. Just a reminder that current year's budget did include a special deficit of 48 million. With the year-end reduction that we're anticipating, we're looking at 17 million actually using the fund balances. So with that, projections, that's where the 17 million comes in. Our main source of revenue for the county is property taxes. Does include tax, managing tax, DOT, and aircraft tax. But you could see a yellow line. Our biggest source of revenue is property taxes. And just as a visual on the breakdown of the counties, tax allocation actually borrows from the last report is from every dollar the county receives 11 cents property taxes. So just a reminder that even though it is biggest source of revenue compared to the total property taxes, it's a small number. So the original post recommendation included already through modifications, we were able to bring that down. And here's the thing proposed. So you see here on after the investments were made, our expenditures were decreased, but so some of our revenues decreased as well because they were taking expense and money that we would have to return. So staffing, just adding back staff, and the number was adjusted to 597. Attached on the you'll see the details of the employee schedule with the details of the department. Here's a summary on change from CA recommended to the estimate that was brought here before today. So it includes a total of 597 3 employees. And these are still vacant positions that we are recommended to eliminate at various departments. But those still purpose as cost saving measure. The sheriff's office, there's a proposal, this was discussed as well, of fund for correctional officers and then funding to my service officers. Currently, the sheriff's office does have 10 vacancies of correctional officer. By ending the four, we don't see significant impact in his ability to continue options, but there's projected savings too. And his further positions, total positions in 20 that are proposed to eliminate, and saves us approximately $3.4 million. And here's the 12 positions that were added back. So next we're going to start in just the CIP products, and those are eliminated from the proposal. They include a total of $6.3 million in savings. And that was a capital proposal because it's tied to emergency service, and that project in midstream, so it's in the process of being moved out of the building still into there. So that was kept, but other projects, DA, probation, repair, and repair, the ag department improvements, those and courthouse being, those were all factored out of the pool. That gives a total of $6.29 million. Also included as eliminated or ending include historical park, the portable water, historical bathroom, veterans park for the and as well. So I want to remind the board or that this is projected to spend $660,000 on library expansion. I'm going to invite Steve here to review schedules, but part of the proposal or strategy, if we want to keep project on the side, is the possibility of fund last year with still doing a math this current year, but me not budgeting for the full thing. I'll invite Steve to discuss the next slide, but I want to.
So if you want to come on up, get a chance.
I just want to touch on fund sources for some of our projects. They do include certificates of participation, the views in the past, and those are included in budget or servicing our debt obligation and also behavioral health. And these are ones we have to pay back. Their capital fund sources include the general fund, state and federal grants, and fees, and taking out like BOEs. I'll kick it off to Steve.
All right, thanks, Dulce. Steve Pokes, Administrator. Good morning, Chair, Board, members of the public, our new county CEO, welcome. So through the capital projects, and I'll pop our GIF fund projects to see if I also want to review non-GIF fund projects. So as Dulce just mentioned, for GIF fund projects, we're about 80% complete with relocating 911 dispatch from the building store over to the, that's why we're requesting the 40,000 shown above. Just to keep in mind, folks, maybe for next year, hopefully, with this building, as well as the approaching building that's at the end of the book over here, they have some roof repairs that are needed to the tune of about $2,000 each. So next year or sometime we can repair those roof issues soon and address those. So those will be moved to the budget, as I mentioned. Historic park pool water, we do need some funding for that. We'll find it elsewhere, but just so it's not, the visitor at this school park has reached a level where the state division of clean water has said, I shall do the things to the water system to just monitor it more closely and to do some more upgrades. And it's not really an option. However, because it's a small amount, and perhaps another $50,000 with the $35,000 non-funds we can from the list. Circle park bathrooms. So we did use our funds, which were general for the bathroom, which is including showers, which is kind of we did things, some of it at Circle Park, but folks can find that's where take showers when they're doing spill events things. So next one, I did invite. It's worth noting that the project did need the $706,000 that was removed. It's an ongoing project. It's a 98% finish. The news with this, we actually had projections 6 weeks ago to be spent this year, and we spent most of it this year. So therefore, it does not need to include next year because the contractor actually finishes on time, refresh, and so we've spent actually about $406,000 already out of today, and there's some solar and other fundings with the project though. But it's removed, and that's because actually spend the money for projections that include the budget already. Veterans parking, Riverside want to do some good things, parking lot, Veteran Park, that was removed. And then in the library, it's worth mentioning that the way that it was originally awarded is it's allowed intent to be matched with library impact funds. So I think, and Alexander donated about last week, I think that library impact fund currently has $1.8 million exactly. So that fund is intended to use as part of $5 million county match. Now, running off, they said $2 million, the county going to contribute $3 million of the fund eventually, and that created if 2,300 homes were built next year. So each home has a library impact fund attached to it, and actually for the library. Now, 2,300 homes are not going to be built in the next year, so fund each $5 million just keeping in mind library expansion. The other thing, the part with library expansion, as Bill mentioned, you've already spent about 706,000, which means 404,000 from the state, which means if the project would, I hope, be canceled, we would have to refund state $530,000. The design's been done to date. So just to keep that in mind as we move through the project. About the agreement and the last one, the court building. So the courthouse building, for the don't know, in a fire a little over a year ago, 2 years ago. It took a year to mediate it. It's now empty. It's a shell. At some point in the future, we'll to move to that building to use it a resource because a valuable county source. It's a large empty building. And that project's been delayed for reasons for about a year on the design of that project. But we would still recommend some way, some points, at least exceeding $86,000 to at least phase one of the design, because generally folks are going to move there. I don't know if it's with the I department, their current offices won't be habitable in the next couple of years, I'll say, so it's empty for the in future. So pause there, and the board can provide direction to me on whether or not I'm going to talk about non-general fund projects. So I'll wait for direction of the board.
I think if you sit there, we'll come back, because I'd like to get the presentation, go to public comment and come back, if okay.
Sure, and then the question is, do you go through all the non-general projects or just general project?
I think we're focused on general fund concern. I'd be certainly the board if you have to go non-general fund. I'm just that the board, I'm hearing anything. You're good. Keep
Okay, great. I will move then. So, real quick, road fund source, percent sales tax goes to Mr. G, or Mr. G acquires 1% of local sales tax. We've been great and been built projects. We have some projects we'll talk in a minute. Highway user tax, we get about $1 million a year. That is essentially road maintenance budgets, potholes, abatements, culverts, fun things. That's where the user's tax account is designated to used. SB1, we receive around $2 million, $2.5 million per year, and that's basically with vehicles and fees and just gas tax. Federal highway projects, those are totally separate fund projects, probably by the bridge program, and generally all those projects don't require any general funds, in a good way. And then, as also mentioned, there's utilized for road projects that are designated to be constructed next year. And then we traffic impact fund, which, and someone put building permit, depending on the size of the project, I'll put it off, really $10,000 of that permit is a traffic impact fee, and that go to a separate account that's used for separate road projects. Total road bridges this year, for $9 million, again, only $7 million of it was general, or is designated out of the general fund. So I'll just summarize some of these and then jump down to general projects. Bridge projects, $18 million. That's funded by the federal government, funded by some RTP funds that are given to the county, which is Regional Surface Transportation Program funds. A big chunk of our union project, part of the TIF program, and so therefore the TIF is for part of bridge project, but all 18 million bridge projects, general funds. We have, we're almost for the design down in South County on New Age Road, and that's funded by the state through an emergency fund from a couple years ago. Measure G, we have essentially 4 projects scheduled to be worked on this year and conducted. And I'll note, for CN Bridge and for Car Bridge, we're going to be applying for 2 grants by August. There's federal government has a program grant, and we think CN Bridge has a chance of being awarded a grant, which could actually, so fingers crossed on that. As one, again, by the amount this year, we have approximately $1 million by the year. These roads have been in pro for a while, so road, free road, another free road, and Selena and FC head on the grant, but won't have funds, won't have accumulated this year, so we'll have to be bumped till next year. SACDs, lots of projects contracted through those accounts to the 1.2 million. They're not using the general fund again. We have a small drainage line and analysis we're working on for Fairview Road near Hannah Ranch with a drainage impact fee. We have a barrier replacement that the state giving us $900,000. Fortunately, right now, the environmental cost was $3,000. We're trying to work through state to downscope that, and that's some guardrails on some bridges. We've never had guardrails. They're kind of set throughout the county, but it would be a good idea. But we're trying to downscope projects so that we'll just spend $300,000 of general funds we don't have on the environmental part of that. Okay, general fund road. As we mentioned, they're really just roads when connecting with general funds here. One is Union Road, $2.4 million, Fraser Road for $26 million, and constructing pavement around our high school in San Juan for $1 million to a total of $7 million. Those are the general fund roads being utilized and built this year. So I'll hand it over to Elsa.
Thank you, Super. And a little bit just on some on the general there have been, though, in 2022, there are no transfers. In 22-23 budget, 11.44 million, but actually used was closer to 360,000. At 23-24, again, we budgeted 11.3 million. Was actually that was 3.2 million. And this current year budget, 15.6 million. And what's predicted to use at the end of the year is sort of 0.17 or close to 9. So actually, that's thank you, Steve. And that was a carryover of 6 million with 1 million total 7.5 million. So now to transition, part of it that included fixed assets goal. I'm just going to focus on the general and one the other are there for review. Fixed assets include 1.8 million for the communication equipment project, 6,000 for equipment PS, 240,000 for T, and then 12,000 for a Tommy lift for our maintenance truck. Other opportunities or items to consider. So we do have a trailers that we'll purchase and could, and if the board chooses to bring some back up later, but if we're to plus the trailers we potentially get, so that'd be an opportunity for 220,000. But there may be other opportunities, or other service opportunities that we could look at or consider in the future. There's some key changes that I wanted to highlight that are included in this vision. There's a document with some mental changes. They include what budget unit was reduced or modified in the packet and by the mail. So I just want to highlight that CIP projects were taken out of the library operations and put in the interest for outfund remaining for protection is reduced by approximately 0.6 million. It's because the fire contract is approved by the board on 10. So that includes saves. And there was approximately a $632,000 savings in salaries and benefits.
Joel, can you clarify? I think it's important for the fire department that's one-time savings, so there aren't any misconstruing out in the public about fire department that operational costs versus one-time savings. It's not an ongoing savings. Yeah, that was directly by general, and so we have reduced service from other things. It was set up a fire house as a correct one makes sense. Other minor modifications include integrated waste. There was very account that's included in the supplemental audit accounts and how to were changed. We also did include a one position in their department that is general and that grant funded. It's a limited term, so that was also included in that TE still. So we want to hide that. Okay. So even with those reductions that board made on the night was get us to 85 million in expenditures. So working with the Paul office, we looked at different options, spread the cost. We looked at net count cost. However, we found that using that count cost went for across departments because net count cost in some departments was higher than others. Taking the expense of each department and we tracked the cost man because cost man eventually goes from one general fund to others. So when we take that out of the equation, we get to 85 million. Gap we have to fill will be close to 3.9. So based on the expenditures is how we came with the calculation. And you can see departments are significantly impacted, like administration office, sheriff, probation, they take a bigger hit. So, but if board so chooses, we would implement these actions and the budget including and ask the departments to come out with a plan on how to do that and bring that back through the action. But that is for the board consideration. And through this, we had meetings with various departments on where we'd have to go. The numbers have, since we met, some departments have decreased, but because we were working to see other reductions would do. So with that, I just want to transition into CDs, CIAs, and last time there was a few questions that were brought up, fund balances and negative fund balances. So just want to clarify that, and I'm going to invite Linda up to review those. Also in this bucket are fund balances she can touch her. So I invite Linda to over the CSA coming out from the FD.
Good morning, Chair, board members, and members of the public. My name is Linda. I am the CSA and FD coordinator with Benito. Just to provide a little bit more information on my budgets for CSAs and the FDs, I did put a little bit additional slides, so thank you. Okay, so as mentioned previously, the total CSA revenues for the year were estimated at $981,375, with total expenses coming up to be $2.071 million. That the expenses from annual applications is $634,905, and $1.4 million approximately is coming from reserve funds. Reserve fund balance for all the CSAs together is at $2.4 million. Sorry. Okay, so to give you guys a clearer picture, so there are all CSAs, all different fund balances. So the one, the column fund balances is what CSA currently has when their account. And we have estimated annual revenue, which is what we're estimating for each CS coming in, and then we'll see how much of the annual expenses And then for the last column are projects that I had budgeted for to be used for reserve funds. So that include major capital projects or major road repairs, minor road repairs. There are others that need starting easements or detention ponds taken care of. There's a variety of projects that ECSA needs to get. So before I move to CFDs, does anybody have any questions?
No. Yeah. Any question? This itself, I'm frustrated. I'm going to put it out. This itself is a 4-hour full conversation. Look on what our revenues are, so we start understanding each department, what their expenses are. We can finally get to a final budget. This is a shotgun approach. It's drinking water out of fire. I want full detail in this, but I'm not going to take up the hours it needs today. Mr. Chair.
CSAs and CDs?
All part of them. These are what I said at the very beginning. What are our revenues? This is part of revenues. We need to know what's going first. Financially, revenues coming in, so we can start a sound conversation with the parts maybe today, so have a depth conversation. This is in-depth conversation we need to have, and I appreciate you giving us an overview, but you I both know there's a lot of conversation he's had of this, and we just can't do it in a short period of time. So I'm getting frustrated. We're having a meeting, kind of recapping what we talked about before, recap what we talked about before, recapping we're not getting anywhere. And I just want to get to the numbers, we can get something on and prove it for a budget, so we keep moving forward. And looking forward to the day we get down, spend a day with go through it.
What he's getting at, CSAs and CDs is the real brunt today's focus really on the general fund and getting our direction on. We appreciate, of course, all the work you do, and there's very valuable information for us to look at. But this is really, goal today is to get direction and moving forward with a general fund, what he's getting. So you can kind of wrap up the FDCSA portion, and then we'll just move on and to kind of give the conversation today.
Perfect.
Yes, of course.
The point of my conversation with this, I totally agree with the bigger conversation. These all should be now equal zero. Fund balances that are in the negative, paying for this. That's the conversation. If coming out of general fund or from another CSA, that misuse funds. So I have no problem putting this on the road for conversation. But this is the conversation. If we have control with the CSAs, maintaining and informing the resident that they're responsible for their CSA costs. And you know what? I know we sat down. I know you told get it. You sat down to every CSA and explained it to them. But when you see negative fund balances, you can't group the CSAs together and say, have this much money in revenue and this much money in expenditures, and we're okay. Because CSA are individual districts that each one of them have an balance of zero, a net count cost of zero. So no problem getting this down the hand, but that must come out of the general fund. It's a conversation that we should have.
Yeah. Nobody's just thinking, I think it's just to the meat, which who's paying these? We have data in front of us. That question is, where are those? Why do we have negative balances? I think that's the ultimately.
Mr. Chair, and I agree 100%. Supervisor, it's not. It's frustrating because SHAP's 100%. And we're not having a sit down in the conversation about this. Just an overview, and review about part, review about so I was maybe doing. We're not going to. We have to. There's a point to sit down and understand our budget. And I've been saying this day one. You can't have casual conversation. Well, we need this and that. We need to know how much revenue is coming in all these different sources. Are we charging enough? Are we not charging enough? We have to know these things, understand the revenue point of this, because then we have to study, and I think all agree with the piece to be done. Sure, we're capturing every single thing. And these parts, because the was correct. You can't lump into one bucket. Each CSA its own. You can't money from one to cost another one. That's the way this works. If it's not the cost, move on. And this, the issue happened because we're dealing with the general fund issue. Revenue is coming in, cover all that. So 100% clear on revenue. Then part by department, we have to start to attack. So we know what's going on and get the 5-year picture for the departments. What's going on over 5 years? How many counties have they been? What's going on? So we can start finding these numbers.
And getting off track.
I get it, sir, but I point out, we just broad review, really not getting anywhere.
That's negative fund balances. That's the question that Supervisor Curl had. Why are they negative balance?
So most of the negative fund balances are to, for example, Bonneview had a capital project. We had roads repaired and didn't have the funds available. However, the board at the time approved to have their road repaired and so additional work to them. So it actually made the deficit even larger. That was about, I want to say 5-6 years ago.
Where does money come?
I still going to fit additional service to them, and I'm making them slowly build their reserves or their get a deficit. However, the first few CSAs are under the Prop 15, so we actually collect additional CSA taxes from only receiving a portion of 1% property tax.
Okay. Because my impression of all these approvals we've had, the last couple of years is that basically, we've asked these questions, they cover a cost.
Do, so there is
Just
no
merely
additional
the
funding from general funds.
Subsidizing
No.
CSAs. I think that's the
Not at all.
question that we're trying down to the.
And
most,
each CSA
Supervisor.
has their own account, so they have their own separate funds, and we're not using a CA fund for our CSAs. It is very restricted, and we only use the funds for specific services while for only our CSA, which is what we're doing.
You have native fund balances, somebody's paid for it. That's only common.
So the other one is Salavita. Salavita, we are currently working with, and so we have a couple of plans. They had that wastewater treatment facility that was no longer can be able to be operational.
I think though, you want this forward, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I just want to say thank you for putting this together. It really does put the picture, and I think CSAs need to know that. Have them understand that their money is being spent by other CSAs. But when you negative fund balances, how the plan is for CS to pay those fund balances back, and where will that money be going? Because it's going back in their account, because somebody paid for those services, came out of somebody's fund, whether it's the gen fund, whether it was our funding, I don't know who's funding it or when it approved. Please don't take this as to you, because you have attacked this so amazingly. And I don't feel that we can do all of this the same way for department, because department don't have regular revenue. This point I made that these are CSAs that should be self-sufficient. And if not Prop 218 elections increase cost, they're not sufficient. They're relying on other taxpayer dollars. And it's not how that's supposed to work. It's an educational process, and I really appreciate what you've done.
They're self-sufficient, and we are already in the process of getting a CA assessment report, so that we're going to use to proceed with up to 18 process for a handful of CAs.
And I know CSA can't, the laugh cross with MSR reviews, CFD can, is my understanding. Is that, no, it's the other way around. CSAs, then you can laugh, so don't miss out on tools that you can use that will help CSAs understand that being reported their funds. My only comment on the last thing is just that departments do this type of breakdown. If you have departments say fund balance, you have multiple funds that equal that fund balance and all earmarked specific things, so you restrict. So then you get into the whole act thing, and it's very complicated. So.
Yeah, it's worthwhile to have an item back that's further analysis on this mark of negative balance and what, explanation as far as where the money goes to, because this is one component sort of ironing out, fixing over picture. Just looking at in the good version, it's help. It doesn't answer the question that Supervisor go ahead and bring in this forward, which was why are negative balance? Where's that come from? How do we fix whatever sort of issue that's going on? Is that okay if consensus from the board part in the next one? Any further, Lynn?
Just quickly to go over the CFD. The CFDs do have the amount, which is negative fiscal impact fees. So the way CFD works is we have administrative, which is for fire, police, and ambulance, and as well as administrative overhead fees. Base rate then is specifically only that. So then if any additional services would be the supplemental services in additional amount tacked to under the CFD rates is the $406,000 to be transferred over to general funds. And you had asked specifically if their fund balance, as well you see here, what CFD has. The list actually order, but do have about 24 CFDs now. However, not all of them taxed until a new building permit is pulled. So.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So I have a little bit more information on the negative physical impact Linda briefly talked about. But as an example, when they're created, there's a petition, and you could see that there breaks out how much of the NFI they pay and how much goes to special project. Those have escalators and this slide shows what they're currently paying and how many permits that they have, and has a down a calculation per CFD, which brings us to total that Linda mentioned it, how we hit it through their petition and what services will be provided. I do want to highlight that.
Just comment. CFDs, I don't have a problem. CFD have a process in escalator. CSAs with a vote of the residents and property owners. That's the difference. Can't even cold on the SAs. So the problem is we're providing the services and we have to keep dealing with trade. We're increasing those costs, and unfortunately, we're not getting the reimbursement from the CSAs to be able to do that. They're upset at us, and I don't blame them, but it's a topic I appreciate the chairing board in future meetings. And this is really good for me for the public.
And then wrapping up, you've seen these guys before, but this budget, are you one-time funding that repeat? Sorry.
And I think we'll say, in light of the fact that this is the second, third, we've seen this slide. I think we're okay. I think we understand.
Okay.
Yeah, those a few slides. Unless I think this from last week. Basically.
Yeah, and then how to access our budget, next steps, and bring it down to recommendation. I will get back to the first instance.
Appreciate that. Go public comment. Well, first, I'd be remiss. We're going to have our full introduction next week at a regular board meeting for our CAO Esperanza Colio. Welcome to San Diego County. We're very happy to have you. Did you have anything that you wanted to add before we go into, because we're just catching up here, so we expect had some discussions, some of these topics a little bit. Did you add anything now, or want to just, you're a lot of observation of that? Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to the comment and we'll bring it back to the board.
In chambers, please put our speaker card on Zoom, please star 9, raise your hand icon. In chambers, we have Andy Patterson.
Good morning, Chair, board members, and the public. My name is Sandy Patterson Mark. I've been as county for 52 years, and I'm always happy with the county, especially when it comes to, I just recently finished a year on the grand jury, San County Civil Grand Jury. They haven't been paid in 3 months. Okay, the excuses we've been given are, we're in a budget crisis. Who took $53,000 that approved last year to pay? It's not about money, it's the principle. It's a $15 meeting, it's been told, past 3 months, we're in a budget crisis. That $53,000 go. There's 16 line items that say other funds. What's them? You have one stall late right here. I don't like this. I don't like being treated like even second class citizens. Told you're a regular employee. Doesn't matter. The promise and when we the oath was mileage and $15 a meeting. I was on free 2 subcommittees, law, justice, and health, education, welfare, plus a regular meeting. We've been close 40 hours a week and treated like this. I've already talked message Zhang. He said about this. He took HR, get HR's down here and explain to us what I sent emails and voicemail to Ramona Bond, who's never answered them. It's unprofessional, the same thing, and needs taken care of by fate, because I'm willing to take for the only 2 people I've ever been afraid of, and that's my Lord and Savior God above, and my daddy was 675 pounds. So I'm not afraid of any recourse. I was the only female in San Diego County history when I was first hired as a deputy sheriff coroner on September 1st, 1985, and I was treated like crap. And there's a person here that can tell that, and that's Under Sheriff Connie Elon. So, and I know what is to go for budget. I was on the disabled negotiating committee, and we were told, we can't do a raise. Okay, we're going to bring our own auditor and our own account, and we're going to audit your books. The next day, we get a call. We found $100,000. I have to know it's in other funds. The other thing is about communication to the sheriff department. From what I understand, that money was a grant. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it's been sitting on either the AO's desk or the county council's desk 9 months. You put law enforcement officer lives on the line. They have nothing out there. They have communication.
If you can briefly.
Okay, so this needs to be taken care of. Take money from law enforcement and fire. My husband was a retired firefighter. I know. I recently went to fire. Hollis Fire was there with 3 engines with 8 minutes. You can't reduce that engine, 3 firefighters to just 2. And you can't reduce them for who thinks to respond. You need to take care of your law enforcement. You need to take care of your police. And by the way, that civil grand jury report is going to be out today. I suggest you read it. We did a lot of work and there's a lot of good information on there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Shirley?
Good morning, Shirley Murphy, County Council. I've taken time off to be here and I'm speaking in my personal capacity, not providing legal advice. I provide detailed comments and a letter as Barbara Thompson at last Monday's bit hearing, so I won't rehash the information, those, just reincorporate those statements. Mostly I wanted to say that I really appreciated board direction at that hearing to state fill positions, including those in the county office, and the Terry budget adopted before June 30th, while allowing time to evaluate options to reduce expenditures, increase revenues with final budget be present and edited in December. I also really appreciate some comments by Tom Slavic, Joel Gonzalez, and Prentice, as well as other committee members who have also submitted letters of support. Due to short notice in some occasions, others were not able to attend, submit, and states. I appreciate all who were able. Since last May, we've been working diligently, trying to identify some options, increasing revenue, reducing expenditures, and find non-general fund options. We appreciate all the hard work the supervisor, the CAO, the auditor, David, and the department heads do the same. As previously explained in our letters, all costs eliminating our positions are accounted for, and our conservative analysis shows it will likely cost more than maintain the hybrid model, which is working well. We urge the board to preserve positions, promoting and preserving local jobs. Employees pay property taxes, sales tax, and support local economy in countless ways. Also, it would avoid the loss of institutional knowledge and continuity of services. We urge the board to look other ways to cost spread equally among full county teams to lows while saving jobs. Since the board approved the amended services contract, it seems the new created chief position doesn't appear necessary at this time and could end fund, which will offset our 2 full-time FTEs. We'd also suggest looking to reducing other outside consultant costs, contracts, which cost a lot of money, and most consultants don't ever work or report the fees, sale of service property, etc., and look other ways to if they are absolutely necessary, we ask them to cut from 6 full-time equivalents were new created and/or others were reclassified in the last years. While our staffing remained the same until our department budget request to reduce to 3 full-time equivalents for this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we have Tyler and Jessica who wish to do public comment together.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for the tremendous effort in creating this. You guys participate. My name is Tom Seeger. My wife Jess is with me. We are county residents and we run a local animal rescue. We recently had the opportunity to assist the county with the riverbed cleanup and our point of contact with Rosemary and our public information officer. The point of our comments today are really in support of maintaining public information officer position, in addition to that, specifically the person you currently have in that position. We had the opportunity to experience someone who's a solution thinker, a face for county that put forth not just for tremendous effort, that is times hard to find, especially in a role that you're pretty well limited. And being here at the meeting today helps understand why her role is limited because of budgetary restrictions. But there's always the opportunity to think outside the box and work through things, and that's something that we definitely saw and wanted to ensure that was known what important position it is for our county residents to know what's going on. Do you have anything else on it?
More emotional one. In leading off that, you working the voiceless, right? We work animal. A lot of people don't think about them, think of them after their afterthought. Mary worked diligently to not only make sure that the animals in this county were cared for in that situation, but at such a high level and didn't stop until it was done. I personally worked with animals in this county. We've been a 413 for now on 2 years, and the animals are it struggles alone at the river and can't clean up. And just to have somebody that not only took the initiative to reach out to help animals before it started, stayed there till the end. Till then, drove places that she had to drive, called them. She didn't have to call us, made videos to help them homes. It was above and beyond, and it was a breath of air in that situation. So we're just in support of not only position, but of her, because it really helped the community. We work very closely, see different side of the county, the human side of the county, see some that really cared of their animal, and the animal community in San Benito is huge. They will for their animals. So just have somebody get into the front for that really made a difference in the entire project was viewed.
You've been muted. Please staying for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, this is Davy Rao. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thanks so much. My name is Davy Rao. I'm the Outgoing County Director of the University of California Operative Extension Office in Benito County. I'm happy to announce that Emma Free is our new county director. She started last Monday and will be your contact from now on. Through office, we run the 4-H program. We also have a 4-H animal science advisor, a fair advisor, which was a brand position started in 2022. Our fire advisor is able to hire staff research associate, use funds, help the fire program. Starting August 1st, we will have a new livestock natural resource advisor. In the past 3 years, UC has invested heavily in Benito County by creating positions and filling new positions. Thanks to financial support from Benito County for past years, we've had additional ad staff to support our growing office. This has been critical. Our advisors have received larger, more complicated grants than past, and there's a large amount of administrative work associated with the grants. Having additional ad support continues to be a great value to our office. It frees up our advisors and 4-H staff to spend time engaging with your constituents. Our fair advisor said it well. Having admin staff support allows me to focus my time on the most important part of my job, which includes building community wildfire resilience, reducing fire effects, and supporting fire mitigation effort and pursuit fire. Last week, the proposed by the county to reduce our budget by $23,000. This week, updated proposed to reduce our budget by $5,220. Very much appreciate you coming down to $5,200 for reduction. However, that's still a 5% reduction in our admin staff budget, on top of the percent reduction to our over budget that the county departments were intended to begin the budget cycle. Although an additional $5,200 not sound a lot of money, our office is significant. Our office will not be open to the public, a couple of additional hours per week. It will also mean being additional administrative burden on our advisors and for staff, giving them time for research and education programs and time to engage the community. In order to be as efficient and effective as we can, we request not to incur the additional $200 reduction in budget, and instead only our budget reduced by the 5% that we originally included in our budget request. Thank you for your time, consideration, and community support.
You've been muted. State your name for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you. This is Debbie Egg. I want to reiterate what the person has said about having a public information officer. And before we had one, we didn't have the kind of communication that Rosemary, I believe her name is, has given the county. She has, as the other party said, has gone above and beyond in promoting events, gathering the community, make sure that the county has communication within itself so we can have a greater community. The other thing is what he has mentioned as far as the reduction in parks money. The fact that the potable water is a state mandate with a number of people that we've come to that park, which is a huge community asset, is very valuable. Anything we can do since we're stuck with the Riverview Regional Park is just, as I said, valuable. And I think all you know and been out there that this is an essential work. So anything you can do to the park, of course, is our wish. So thank you very much. Again, shout out for our current EIO. We have not had such a point leading the community with communication with those. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Members of the board, and you AO Ronson. I just want to talk a bit about the bill department. See that one of the positions for elimination is the building official currently vacant, and to be able to help as much as possible with that. The building department currently consists of two inspectors, two technicians, one enforcement officer who does the service in the county of Benito, and one building official. And we do have consultants for who assist from time to time when needed. Their roles mainly plan checking, because they don't have a plan checker in house. They do help with checking, and cost is covered with building permit fees. And 2024, just last year, we had over 600 permits that were issued. Approximately 200 of them were units within developments such as Juan O, Santana Ranch. The majority of them, over 100, were residents that live in an unincorporated area. For example, permit that they expect a home because their family is increasing, or access structures and so forth. And our two building inspectors that we have in-house have done a tremendous job covering all the inspections. Two permit technicians have done a great job in processing all of the permits. And our two inspectors have helped throughout. And if they want not one of right now and leave, it's just a baby, then you see assistance for leave. In regards to the building official position, the current vacant is being recommended for elimination. I, along with the department, have been doing our best to cover building official responsibilities. In particular, one of our building inspectors, Garcia, building inspector, I love ground and building construction and inspection. So he's done a great job in covering while the position has vacant. And if we need time to, we do have help with that. And so I request that if the official position is eliminated, it is reconsidered to be back when the financial situation improves in their future. So very briefly, in previous job with the jurisdiction, a little over 10 years ago, we're going to similar budgetary financial crisis, and the city adopted a austerity plan and to it, and counted about 12 days, and then from like New Year, a few before and days after, there were some furloughs.
Go ahead.
Just briefly, Mr. Chair. There's a similar 20 furloughs or so, and it was across the board, except for a few departments, and really helped to prevent any layers throughout, the jurisdiction. And there was other things that were done to help, but just here to help and whatever we can to try to avoid it, potentially and work in there. And I appreciate everybody's hard work and effort during the process. Thank you.
Next, we have Steve Luke.
Good morning, everyone. Steve Luke, Public Department time, but I heard this.
I don't keep on your conversation, so whatever you would like.
Okay, thank you very much. So, regarding the potential reductions, some of the budget, $4 million still budget that we need with, just want to present some options as it regards to council, because what we did at Public Works, we looked at projects that are in general fund, as well as kind of EFD process that are ongoing during the past year, projected during the future year. And what we came up with was there are 10 non-general capital projects that are for next year with non-general funds, 4 projects also non-general funds, 3 road projects non-general funds, and guesstimate about CF annexations, so a total of 27 projects that would all be funded with non-general funds that need the assistance of our county council staff. And so, in addition to that, briefly, our assessor project does have grant fund available for the non-general funds that needs assistance from council. So all that being said, hope to maybe put some more details about how those non-general funds help preserve some of our council staff. And then the last just is segue or continuation of Abraham's comment as another suggestion. Researching a lot of agencies that are also experiencing some deficits. Abraham mentioned, I'd request that the board and the union consider furloughs of 1 day a month, perhaps furloughed some holidays, or get paid to help address the gap of $1 million. That's all. Thank you.
Next, we have Sheriff.
Thank you, Mr. Probably most concerning use in this meeting is that I'm not going to have Cal on time right now. I just pressed that. My wife said, she's really worried you don't prepare speech, and I said, I don't prepare speech. She said, well, her worry you're going to for like 15 minutes straight and just for the win. So I'm going to try to get, I do a list. And not coming up to me, first of all, I told our new CEO, I was asked to spend a lot of time with Sheriff of Imperial County, who spoke highly of our CAO. I'm very excited to have her here. They're very disappointed to lose you. So welcome. The other thing is I want to thank Kelly Kennedy. The real sheriff of the county is Kennedy. And her dedication, effort, work with staff has been above and beyond where even her sheriff explained yesterday. Through this process we've all been through together, he has a newfound appreciation for exactly everything that does, how creative she is. So those are my little thank yous. I do just publicly, this is not really, for the word, but mostly for my fellow department heads and for the public. I understand that we have a huge chunk of the general fund in the sheriff's office, some of this that we can't avoid, and those things can't avoid are very expensive. But there's something I just want to publicly state because it gives a little bit of context to the presentation you were getting. And a lot of this is because I am eternally grateful to all 5 of you for making it clear that your intent was to exalt safety and all of this stuff. And I've had phenomenal conversations with our chair where I express and then I have to face my department heads that are losing things while I'm not. But I just want to go through some things for my staff to understand, for the public to see that what we have been doing to tribute. So we have all capital projects in their office, which is not a good thing. And Steve and his staff have been fantastic. But one of the projects that's been on the docket for maybe a decade is a roof repair of the jail so they can get air conditioning in the main jail, which is what we call the old jail. And it stands right now, literally, the doors of the jail stay open in the summer because that's the only way we can get airflow there so it gets hot and it's illegal. So it's again installing that project through, and this is not at all out of board, this is staying fast. Freezing multi-service officers, leave me is the only sheriff in this California that doesn't have any front office staff at all. I have a mandate, the Constitution, that I have to provide civil services to this guy now, don't have civil clerk. Front office staff and sheriff's assistants need to be either high specialized, they need to be backgrounded and trained. I just couldn't attempt that. We're probably going to close the lobby to the public. We're really looking at limiting our hours of civil process in the county. It's going to be really hard for our realtors, really hard people who are trying to eviction and restrain order because that's a mandate to have, but I literally have staff to it. Reason our CEO, it's a thing, and just so you know, like, this is a very back and forth with our staff here. I'll talk, can we, should do this? There's a thing that we want to be able to try to tribute, but also talk about costs. In freezing our 4 CEOs, if we had those, and if we were to get up to staff, which we've not been able to get up to staff through a ton of effort on county's part, we would be 20 in the states, we need a minimum of 4. So freezing these is just been us backward. I understand, if we get at a point where I need to look these 4 somewhere on the road, we'll have that conversation, but helps us this time, we'll do that. I've cut our professional services by approximately 50%. We've cut our travel and training, which in a way is shooting ourselves in the foot. We get reimbursed by the state. A lot of our trainings, it's a revenue stream. We don't really see an office. So we have a training budget, we send all the training dollars, and the back end rev comes to account, but it's not credited against our budget, so it doesn't show that. It just shows as a key for revenue. But a lot of training is reimbursed. And I understand that mandated training is not part of this. We have that. We've all vehicles. We're in one new vehicle with court security, so it's not general fund, but again, we're in other options, leasing vehicle to reach our cost of fleet. Cut services and supplies. We did not, with our former CAO, not fill the deputy position this gave us, so that seems to general fund because I still have. And I appreciate Chair reaching out directly. Heard a rumor you pulled from the. We didn't do that. We moved into a grant position. It's short-term solution, can't be a long-term solution, but there's things there that will reflect in the petition. Also moved Sergeant to the security funding, and we've just started into a grant funding that weren't previously there. That's things there. We cut 2 of our help staff. The last 2 things I'll go over from slide. The GPS, it was like $6,000. The reference to grants, not just funded, so the county got the GPS through a grant. And it is a fluctuation. I put to this board and previous board about the communications budget. It's an office, doesn't belong there, but was an ad or something else, OS. And especially when the public sees it's $1.85 million, the sheriff's radio project. It's not my project. It's the county communications, AMR, Hollier Police, or one user system. The lead on it because somebody else wanted to do it. And that was ARPA fund. It was years ago, but I think those ARPA funds were transferred. So it's I have to do it. It's a huge spend. We'll reimburse in the future. But as far as my department head and the public looking at the sharing and $1.85 million for the project we have, I think is ingenuine. I will close with this. I have gone meeting with Supervisor Mickey. I've followed some media. I know the 5 of you get completely destroyed over roads in the county. It's not directed at you just for the public. Your board is trying to reflect your priorities. And if all they ever, the only thing that a person in the community talked about was the roads and rip Supervisor over the roads. Other things in the county are soft because that's where I believe, and it's not popular, but a lot of public is saying that's where their priorities. And the county is trying to reflect the priorities of the public. I think public's priorities are a little out of whack there. I live in community design. Sheriff has to live here. Kids were raised here. I got to do this too. Hate the traffic too. But we have basic services we need to fund here to make sure that we're all safe. And I'll just close with that. Make sure they support the board and new CEO and the department heads with putting our priorities where they belong was the minimum staffing of the departments that we have. Thank you.
I see no other comments.
Do we take a 2 or 3 minute break? I think we'll come in 3 minutes. Try to fit tight. All right, everyone, if we try to come back and get going as soon as we can. Wait for Oh, okay. When that plane's in, we're not in a rush. Let everyone. Yes. All right. We're waiting for. Oh. Yeah. All right, thank you, everybody. We'll back to the session here. We've had public comment. We'll bring back forward further discussion, direction, questions. So want to kick it off?
Hi, sir. The thought the plan was get a temporary budget approved as recommended by the consultant that we hired of I believe 5 million, and we could go through the process to.
Well, I think was the ultimate one is for $85 million to place the budget in now with the reductions that have discussed and recommended any other modifications today. Ultimately, at least try to get to 5. Have further comments. I think there's more work to do on this whole sure, obviously, but yeah, I think ultimately to get to 85 as a minimum.
That was the recommendation of the whole thing. And I goes all more when it's what I start the process of having meetings, focus on area, focus on revenues and for the day and get all the information we can, and then have additional meetings with each department, make sure we understand what's going on there, how we can help and how they help us until we get to the point of understand that final numbers, and we step back, start saying, okay, some of these other projects we do have something for, what's the priorities, we come out and get the project done. I just have to be more focused. It's very difficult for us to come in and have this conversation, a couple of new ideas, really not get anywhere. It's very simple. It shouldn't be simple. It's running expenses. And I really believe from numbers like that from the departments and get that bigger picture. Most of them are very, very stable. And no, we got there, but we have to have a sound conversation. Sure, there's training they get bursts for some of that. So we use our favorite. Some of the state funds, we just didn't know exactly what we pull out to make us win for this. And that's again, a conversation we're going to have per department. So, to go in particular,
yeah, just a couple couple questions. First of all, was mentioned the fire chief position. Are we still finding that position?
This was limited to Elch with there, but on that end was not.
Okay, yeah, it was definitely.
That would correction.
So the additional dollar that would be used.
And Maya took it out on the FD schedule. Some it was so missed from there. So savings already incurred.
So already reflect that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Regarding the just quickly on the whole grand comment, just make sure I know what's going on with the payroll issues, but make sure that someone's addressed and the HR has a look at it and make that there's payment issues.
The correction, it's not JAR, it's that they reimburse for mean and they submit their mile meeting. So I will follow up. I think because we're not expecting them, we'll let them.
Supervisor, would you like?
No. I am supportive of us adopting an spending plan. I think there's still a lot of work to do. I would like to give our new CAO some time to work with all of our department heads to potentially explore some solutions, some options, ways that we can never be able to deal with the deficit, find maybe creative options and solutions. I'm really hopeful for that. I could potentially be supportive of a one day a month furlough. I ask maybe during that time that we potentially survey the employees in the unions, see if that is maybe an acceptable exploration for swinging some of this budget. I'm those things potentially could be. I'm pretty concerned about some of the CIE projects that are not included, be funded. We talk about different maintenance and talk about our roads and how bad they are, and they're just going to, worse and worse. There's no consideration for our facilities here and the deferred maintenance that's going on at some of our facilities. And, it's kind of open and praying that thing is going to happen. And I think risky to be. So I would more consideration given. I understand the majority of this board, their position on road, and I get it. And, but I like some more consideration to go into some of, is there a way maybe we can take some of the funding? No, roads are just get worse, but so are our facilities. And we have employees here, if it rains, if we've leaked some of his roof that need repair, and then all of a sudden they've got mold, and they have employees going out, and we've got this liability issue. The unintended consequence of us not dealing with our facilities would put it in a really good way. Well, so I would like a little more time into that and maybe identifying, okay, the roof is really, we just cannot go another year. So if there will to do that, look at that, I think we should go in that direction a little. I'm really concerned with their comments of not being able to potentially serve eviction notices, restraining orders. This potentially could put some resident life in real danger if we're not able to serve restraining notices. So I just more and care need to go in this. Again, CA working with department heads, get a real plan and bring it back to us on what this could look like. And we try to provide the best as we can to this community. I understand the budget restraints, but we've this responsibility to take care of our citizens. What else was there for me? The other issue, and I want to thank our clerk of the board for sending us a letter last night regarding the PO position. I know I have advocated for it before. I will continue. I think, and so I quote her a little bit in here. So thank you so much, SF, sending that. But I think, and I agree with her, this is going to significantly diminish the public access to records and meetings. And since Rosemary started with us, the public engagement and participation of public with us during our meetings, events, recruitment, all of those things that are important to us have increased tremendously. That's a quote, some statistics for June 2024. We had a rise in people reading and opening our Board of Supervisors agendas from 86.6% to 93.8%, a 7.2% increase. Not only that, the increase in Zoom attendance to our Board of Supervisors meetings tripled. 35, we average attendance in June 2024. Approximately 97 people now tuning in. They're getting more people to participate. There's more engagement, more, communication, more awareness, more education, and I think that is incredibly important. Now, probably all due to PO. I think in large part, it really has increased all of the videos, the professionalism, working with other agencies, working with the County Office of Education, working with different nonprofits. We really have increased just our efforts and working together with people for help to inform, connect with the public, I think is incredibly important. And if we all sit here and need to consider the long-term consequences of eliminating this position, the role directly supports government transparency and civic participation. And if we're going to continue down this path, I think we'll need to consider how are we going to fulfill this, right? I hear time and time again from sitting up on the dais about misinformation and about not being wrecked. And who better to make sure that we facts from source that they trust? And unfortunately, it is not fact that they believe that they trust. They don't. I wish they did. The public doesn't trust us. I remember running office. Somebody said, "Oh God, you're a good person. Why would we run for office like crazy?" And it isn't who we want run for office. Are people that are good people and people that we can't trust. Unfortunately, sitting up here, people don't trust me anymore as I'm in this seat. And so I want the public to have information. I want them to have fact. We need that spokesperson. We need somebody to make sure that the public has information. So again, I would ask, please let not be distant today on that position. Let's consider that for review. Well, let's the CO. She just started yesterday. Let's give her a moment, work with our PO, review all of the information presented today over the course of the last few years, and come with a plan that is going to put us in the best position can, saving money, but also making sure our citizens have information, we're able to provide successes, and we're able to protect public. So thank you.
Completely agree with adopting a budget to be able to move forward, and I also agree with all the comments that Supervisors stated. In addition to that, when it comes to PIO, what we look at the PIO cost plan, because the PIO supports every single department, just like IE, just like County Council, just like HR. We shouldn't be looking at it as individual. We should be looking at it as benefit each of the departments and community at large. When it comes to facilities, I can't agree more. Facilities have been neglected for years. We're not going to be able to fix facility, and we're going to kick the can down the road again. We keep saying we want to kick the can down, but we all don't want to kick the can down on the road. Kicking the can down, everything else appears to be what we have to do. Comes down to council, I agree with the comments from Public Works Director Steve Loop that we need to look at alternative, and if that means that the positions are allocated to subvent departments to be able to support those departments, I can support that. When it comes to furloughs, it's not just a conversation I think to have with unions about potential sporadic furloughs, but also having a conversation about where they see opportunities for saving. We say we want to collaborate, we say we want to meet the unions and representatives, and I'm just not seeing that being heard. So if we opt this, I look forward to those conversations happening more. Appreciate Sheriff's comments. I also do, and because we've seen same sides over and over, I'm going to point out, mentioned by Dulce, there are errors of what the budget were posted on the website, still showing the 24-25 adopted budget as a budget that not executed or adopted by this board. We have to go to the budget that is shown on the website that has don't look at the fact it was, go to December 24th budget on consent, and you see the budget that's adopted by this board. I hate harping on this, but before we talk about numbers, have to talking about the numbers that were adopted, because that's part of the problem. Looking at this is not accurate. And I know it's adopted, not actual, so understand that when you're talking about comparing what happened last year, this year, we have to look at some of the mistakes that were made last year and see we need to correct for this year. Vacancy budgeting, it stated here, incorporates vacancy budgeting policy. I just want to make sure, because I thought I heard you say something different than what was presented. We are all in agreement. I want to for the whole, but tell me if you agree. The goal is get away from vacancy budgeting, because you said what I heard, you said it clearly and I heard it wrong, is we were incorporating vacancy budgeting, all departments except the sheriff's or safety, and I just want to make sure I had it wrong.
So currently in the sheriff, we only funded for our vacant and not the full amount.
I think what you're saying, I think you said we're being vacant budget, just the vacancy budget.
I just want that clarified for the public, because don't want that just, when you're up, you're trying really hard to get the word out, and the public sneak that and go, see, now going backward. They're not,
just to clarify,
okay,
yes.
Making sure you got that one. When it did assumptions on revenue, and it talked about constraint from 172, it should the sheriff operations the same amount twice. I'm assuming one for the sheriff, one with the jail.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that clarified for the public. It wasn't all going to the sheriff operation budget. And understanding that it's a lot of Prop 70 money. No offense, I really appreciate everything there's and staff does, but we other departments could benefit from that, and I feel that needs a conversation that's more broad-based on the board level. What was your thing? When it comes to the net structural deficit of the adopted budget, which I still have concerns is not accurate because not looking at the same budget that were adopted for 24-25, it stated it was 49.26 million was a net structural deficit. At what point that information actually, we don't need an answer now, was that known at time of budget and reflected clearly to the boards we were going into our reserves?
My previous budget officer has presented with the plan, also the financing sources plan attached to the end up. It was briefly discussed and it was emphasized. If I recall correct, it's the direction, or it was presented is that we always bring in fund balance, so even they're saying we're going to use the fund balance.
So we in mentality, just to make that clear. I don't think that was very clear to this board and body, and I think that's the areas of course that we have to be addressing. My last comment, well, I'll say it's last. When it comes to the property tax allocation from the assessor's office, I love that presentation. I think it's amazing, but I really would like staff to look at that breakup or down more detailed. I've seen it from other counties getting the nitty-gritty. I think it would be very transparent. We have more accurate and current breakdown, because there are some things that I think we've got individually that could add to that would help people understand. So we are showing vacancies in right now in the suggested unfunded 7.3 positions are basically what you're saying we're not funded in the current presented budget. That one, the staffing summary by department 25, 26 unfunded.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that's clear. We keep talking about only 3 positions. We are really talking about 77.3 positions.
Yeah, and some corrections where we're limited one, but yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I have that information correct. I will talk separately out the correctional officers vacancies. I understand they're struggling to be able to hire, but at the same time, we're now budgeting for them. We also are struggling to get road projects done. Sorry, Steve. And we're budgeting for road projects that we're rolling over $6 million from prior year into this year. Are really going to be able to get those projects done? It looks like we're adding $1 million to the roads projects. We're in a deficit. I don't need a comment, just to make up.
All right.
We already talked about an account. Really, the cost allocation plan, we really need to see the PIO position and allow the new CAO, welcome. Sorry, this is your first meeting on job. The CEO look at the PIO and talk with the auditor office about that be in the cost plan, or was already in the cost plan. No, it was funded by a grant, but long-term cost of that since it affects many departments and really working with the union. Besides that, I appreciate, all the work on the DSA updates. I think it's a long conversation, and it doesn't work as well when you're talking about department, because department's revenue does is pay revenue high, has revenue fluctuations. So having department be able to present their revenue sources and fluctuation of the revenue sources with their expenditures is a conversation I think we'd really talking, more open with the board. I completely agree with Supervisor Vasquez. We have to know where those revenues are coming from and what they see in the state and fed budget impacting them, to where in general fund departments, they may have the revenue they used to have. Also, we could look at, when we say fees, service, looking at fees, service, we have to remember some agencies can't charge, we charge the state for elections. Boy, do they cost a lot of money. Can't charge the Fed for elections and cost that department a lot of money. But also can't use reserve, and earmark funds that are collected for specific uses. We cannot back use that to fund general fund costs. I just want to back clear. That's all I have, and thank you to all of planners to handle comment from public. And grand jury item, I really think I know it's not an HR issue, it's a claims issue. If they haven't admitted a claim because they haven't mentioned how to set their claims, that's one thing. If it's we're saying we're not paying them because of a budget issue, that's a huge problem in my opinion.
Brief talk to staff, it's related to budgets, how the funds were funded, so we'll work with that.
Yeah, there's additional career because we have in grand jury. That needs to be something that is ongoing education for all new grand jurors. Don't wait till the end of the fiscal year so that they're waiting 3 months to get paid.
Thank you much. Yeah, clarify on 20, we started to get off track to 320 or 20 or 25, a lot of success using one-time funds, ARPA, library grant. Again, I'm not going to repeat everything, but we follow these things without irrigating out and kind of the full picture. I don't think the overall picture is necessary. I think we still have a lot of work to do. But we were presented as if because vacancy budgeting was a lot of methodology, and there are factors that essentially our adopted budget was really in the $3 million range higher than the actual. And then just, I think we've incorporated vacancy budgeting, we incorporate these one-time expenditures into budget. I think a lot of this is really, truly need to get down to the bottom, segregating things out, one, and then figuring what in the world the account issue is here, because I'll say again, that we don't have clarity after all the extraordinary reductions we're seeing. The budget is escalating over $2 million over last year's actuals, after we're essentially reducing the initial budget expenditures by 23. That's why I saw $23 million induction from the initial record. I got a lot of work to do, and so that's why I'm confident that I don't think this is failing. We are going to structural gap sometime, but I don't believe it in this $49 million, these crazy numbers that are being thrown out. I would like to clear in the verbiage on communications infrastructure. That's a point to share. That's a multi-agency communications goal, and so we can work on that to be a requirement of mine. We were told by our consultants, Baker Tilly, that we $28 million in plan transfer out general fund capital in 25, 26, and see $6.3 million in reductions. I know we have this $1 million in roads as well. There's still a significant gap there. I'm just wondering, was there sort of interpretation by consultant, because they already plain as they told $20 million in capital time?
No, I can go through if you need it.
No, I just would like to go for, I don't know, we don't need to do that, but going forward to please to know that, and I'm sure they'd be willing to work with us on just kind of explaining where we're coming from on that, because that way it was explained in budget management 24, 25, and rough $28 million in 25, 26. And so just don't need any down, just please take underscore note of it as we go forward. We have a lot of work to do. And then I also just look back again, we look contract consultants, do their analysis, those very large dollar amounts. And I saw, I asked that basic question over and over again, is why budget is on paper right now so high when we're doing these reductions. We don't have payroll built in. You mentioned worker comp at $1.5 million, and then you saw a pension, and there was no dollar amount attached. And I think there's a lot of work as far as figuring out why this is showing up on paper, whether it's a gov system issue, some duplication going on. There's an issue. I'm an analyst student. I'm not an accountant, but I'm an anomaly. I spot anomaly as good as anybody, and this anomaly makes no sense. So I go towards September. We really need to really laser focus on what is causing the account issue. The size not all. Again, I have to underscore, we start with a prior adopted budget at baseline, and we obviously we have to get away from that, but that was the biggest mistake made because we started with inflated number. So again, that part of the issue as well. And other considerations, personally, yes, let's solve the Ellen trailer for COVID. I mean, as much as we can do, they're going to solve our problems long term. Whatever we do to give ourselves more breathing room in the time. All the 11 trailers for COVID, they're sitting there. We have an item for selling those in Murrah property. I don't know what that dollar amount is going to end up being, but assume we'll do that in the next fiscal year. Sell those in Murrah. Again, it doesn't solve bigger picture. Roads. I saw right list. I'd like to. We've discussed the road hoc shifting. I still see right road on there. There's no men of the road acts record that eventually they're trying to do. They need to pay for that road. It was shipped at $2.9 million for somewhere else needed these road projects. And then I got a text. I don't know if Steve. I don't believe things. So I got a text more about Cole Road, and a resident told the account that we don't think we're going to get to again because contractors are busy, and we project management consultant that we've hired, and this has been on plate and been on plans for 4 or 5 years now. So can consult afterward if you don't want to mention now what in the world going on, because we've not been off Cole Road again. I can tell you now. No excuses comes to contractors being busy. That's the reason why. What's that? He brought up. Yeah, it was in presenting.
Wes, and I also support our PO 100% because the comment, the residents, why are some projects delayed? I said, well, there's a limited number of contracts, and then we were talking about Cole Road, and so somehow got muddled together. Hope that Cole Road will start this summer and be constructed.
So we hope. This is the 5th year in a row. It just happened. I just understand why project we're scheduling aren't happening.
Because a year and a half ago, there was an embankment failure. Well, I don't want to get to it, but
Okay.
it's very short. It's going to happen. So, and the comment from the president was incorrect, essentially.
Okay, all right. Overall, again, I believe a lot of the things we talked about when it comes to furloughs and these, I think we do have a gap to address. But I think very drastic to talk about some measures that we really understand. The budget, for me, let's get this thing fine for next September, truly figure out where we're at, go through a thorough analysis of all the spending categories. I still not seen that. I'm not what's going on in the background, but go through all these spending categories and doing a comparison year to year, particularly 2020 actual, 2026 recommended, and spot the anomalies and start to study, find explanation as to why for this budget is going up, should be already going down. And as far as recommendations, I would recommend essentially taking into account what we forward and recommend last week with modifications that discussed here, as really clarifying that $85 million is a number that we'd be shooting for as a broad goal, not saying that we bring back next week, because if you were going for $85 million, you're bringing about a whole bunch of layoffs. It wasn't the intention of the board. So essentially bring back the recommendation from last week. I would declare if there's anyone else wanting to discuss on the public safety high freeze that we essentially said we were exit public safety. And there's been gray area interpretation of that. And the sheriff mentioned for officers that aren't necessarily sworn that are included. And I think intentions for me was public safety departments were going to exempt. And I would just like it further clarity from the rest of the board on that. Also keeping in that department can come to us and make requests for exemptions to high freeze. But is anyone else that understood that public safety department, public safety departments didn't mean sworn officers?
I asked that question last meeting. It was anything that said 3% per retirement. So if you have employees that are at a 3% per retirement, which is public safety, then if they're in SEIU and a 2% per retirement, they're included whether they work for the department or not. That was a question I asked last week, and that was the answer I got.
But I think there's a have to really clarify that for, and their willingness to exempt public safety departments as opposed to what that interpretation was a PERS.
Do any idea what that number is and what then it do? Legally? I can't recommendation, and I know some numbers. I take it in consideration.
Maybe then we can add that to the list of after this placeholder budget is approved, something to revisit or their analysis, if that's okay. And other modifications, the library, I just had a conversation with Lucia, would like to take this week. She's got ideas, maybe finding potential creative fund solutions, so to allow this AO to explore those creative solutions between now and the adoption comes forward next week. Would be I would recommend. Then I think that's essentially it from Supervisor Tello.
Thank you. I'll say the question is going to be for you. Sorry. I just want clarification. So on page 23, I believe it is, there is, it's balancing general fund fiscal year 24 adopted, this is fiscal year 25-26 recommended. Okay. On that line item where it says expenses, go all the way over to the right, it $96,929,626. But if I go back and I look at page 14 or 15 was previously, I apologize for not bringing this up earlier, under 25-26 recommended budget, and also list general fund, list the general fund budget at $94,152,582, and then on the next page it lists expenses at the same exact dollar amount. Just wondering why figure 25-26 adjusted shows $94,855.82, go to 23 and we have $96,929.66. You said talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay, sorry.
And, the representative for city.
So that's actually a $2 million savings right there, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure what number it was.
Let me bring up download, but
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted, because like, wait a minute, which number? So I just wanted clarity on that, so thank you. That was my only question. And is there any, I know we're, well, I'm not actually sure exactly what we're going to do today. Is there any willingness to reconsider some of the things we talked about last week when it comes to look at some of the capital improvement projects, looking road, they're looking, taking that 2.9, whatever it was for Wright Road, which came out of Measure G, that potentially you may take and fund a portion of majority like Union Road, which we're proposing that would general fund. It's essentially close to $3 million. Maybe we could look at for some of these capital improvement, some of our facilities we are in need of repair, consideration of the IO position. I'm just wondering if, is the board willing, open to having any of these other discussions, having staff, the CO with department heads, staff, looking further into the issues, or is it just a hard no for all?
Yes, sir. I think, again, we're trying to put together a placeholder. As I said earlier, we as a board need to know factual risks, because when we can all 100% agree on, the numbers are not correct. They're not correct. We saw it in the very first day. We keep seeing it over and over. It's not fair to department heads. They don't know either. But we have to, again, my opinion, sit down, understand our revenues, all of them very clearly, understand our expense from the departments, and understand the money we have for the CIP project, start making sense of all. Because I 1% agree we shouldn't neglect maintenance, because it will cost you money down the road as roads. I think to be careful if we put things back in, we're back null again. We just have to get these first stages, and I think a month time really focus. We're gonna have all these answers. We're gonna allocate dollars correctly to a lot of these projects. I agree. Measuring money's used or turn money from the road. Some of the things need to be changed around. I think we're gonna get there, and we have to start with the basics of understanding a placeholder to start this conversation, and then really sit down, go through them, and then as a board decide what are the priority CP projects.
Is it okay if I come? I'm trying to be clear on what I'm voting for today, if it's where we're gonna go. So I absolutely respect that. I appreciate that being open-ended. Worry a little bit, you know, we'll be able to make the adjustments, or we'll come back and kind of haunt me that you approve it. And so I kind of want to be, you know, I want the department heads, I want our CAO, I want the public to know what we're willing to kind of consider. And that's kind of my question. And I understand we have to care with putting things we really don't know. So here we're making, in some way, some drastic cuts and drastic changes to plans and things that were already in place. And so just trying to be very clear, taking a position, we're cutting it of, again, we don't really know, but we've made a decision to cut a single position out of everything. And so I'm just asking, would the board reconsider and to pause on kind of all that? Let's figure it out. It's kind of really what I'm asking.
I'll say the same view last week that positions that are funded by grants, the money's out and we don't have money more.
But I think we're talking about looking for solutions elsewhere. So would we stay open-minded, potentially giving ourselves a month, give the AO a month to work with department head, work with them staff, look at where funding is coming in. Is there a creative solution to some of this? So that's what I'm asking for.
So I would just entertain, if anyone else want to make the motion to essentially the recommendations from last week that we gave as a board, and then taking it into a conditional modification present today, giving staff direction to come back with a placeholder budget at our June 23rd final adoption that would include modifications budget officer presented, giving the AO time to explore the creative solutions for library funding. And I would also throw in, if they're to witness, certainly amend to board on selling the RVs, selling Rosenbauer property. That would be essentially it. Unless there's anything else I'm saying.
Question.
Yeah, I should rate $1 million by September, if not less, based on further analysis of budget, and confirm.
We just, that future agenda item, we have had that item yet. Is this just deciding that? As far as we'll put a budget to sell and we'll have discussion, I guess, later on.
You have to formalize it later, but if it's a will, just go ahead and tell it. I don't know what dollar would be, so that's something that we was off and include as a revenue sort of additionally.
I can work county council on their bids, but I believe an appraisal would be our initial step that we would do. So we could do that process and initially CW. I don't know how fast it occur, but
Probably about by next week.
seems like
Appraisal.
not.
Oh, I doubt it next week.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, either way, yeah, I
So
want
we
to
would
say
include probably, we don't give false impression, and then maybe it's included as an additional, expecting and sort of, arbitrary amount, yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I can agree with your recommendation moving forward with the amendment of preserving the BIO and allowing the CAO to look at cost plan and other ways of funding that position through non-gen fund, and also looking at council positions in other of our departments.
I just want to make sure we're still, because I frozen, I don't know if it's through public or if just the screens are frozen.
No.
To end a little more, I even consider a conversation about the public safety issues for future discussion.
Okay. Further comments? Supervisor Curl?
Yeah, I'm just sorry, screen issue distracted. Can you go that one more time?
So I can agree with the presentation moving forward, the chair's recommendation with the recommendations from the staff. My only clarification would be that the count positions that to be eliminated be looked at in the event fund and alternative locations for those positions to come back in a different form in county council, potentially in any area that is recommended for the suggestion of staff. And then when it comes to Steve positions, that maybe we redefine what safety is, since it was based per 3%, since it's affecting the sheriff's being able to have a lobby available for services, staff available for services that are in SCU, or to prevent that really at what the impacts are. And the PO position being held from layoff this time, it's not saying it won't be cut. I'm saying that look at alternate funding sources that are, it was a one-time ramp funding, look at how can we into the capital, the cost plan, and how the position has supported departments, because that loss of support will impact all departments and will cause more work on departments that already take cut.
My only react to that is the position was created COVID to go with the COVID-19 pandemic using COVID-19 dollars that we no longer have.
Clarification, what ARPA?
Same thing, ARPA.
I'm just curious. It seems we're open to so many things. I have to wonder, is this personal? Because honestly, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why we're so against looking at alternatives. We're not willing to explore. We're just hard no. So the only thing makes sense to me that this is personal. And so, how many makes of this, please?
Yeah, like at least I saw it going to the numbers originally. As I looked at numbers with little information I had, it's very clearly the issue was one-time months they came through, which led to more spending. So the first question I asked is like, how dealt address all these one-time months? Because this is how communities across the state and North Dakota are into trouble, because it took one-time monies as ongoing revenues. Now they're all trouble. So I look at it as anything with one-time months has got to go. We're gonna have to fight the move on, because we still got a ways to go here. And no matter what we do here, highly likely we're gonna be running deficit. So we have at one point or another address the issue. And for me, it's okay, we do this one month. Let's not go more. How to make sure these other departments have been doing the same job for these years, holding pretty conservatively there. How do you start with them to, like I said before, let's figure out the true numbers as quickly as possible. We have to stop with the one-time monies and figure out a way to make it work, because we got to work to. We have a lot of repair to do. A lot of road fix. We got all these departments. They need their job done. We're carrying it over. If we don't have a staff member, we're going to be able to charge this and end up losing more money. They're all we need to understand clearly, so we can make this. But we can't just keep adding back. This, for me, has nothing to do with emotions. It has to do with numbers. And I mean, you know, we should be 7 million. Right now we're talking to the nice. We got a problem. Yeah, we got a problem. I don't want to prolong it. After we get through all these things, can't go back to us. Maybe we get there. But right now, my goal is to make sure we're not hitting these departments that have been around forever with the community, and maybe we're doing this right.
I get, Olive. I get your saying. It's just we consider every other thing. We consider ad position. We've considered. We're not willing to consider position, even looking beyond and looking for, hey, how back. We talk with department heads. What is this to you? Well, the BD department. That's me. The trying part. We're not willing to pause and give the new CEO time to really kind of value it. We're just hard no, and that's where I'm having a hard time with. And a hard time with every meeting we have. We talk about misinformation from public or not. So it just for me is very, very troubling. I want more participation with the community. I want more engagement. I don't let, and that's the direction that the board wants to go in. That we want to stifle public participation and public information. Then I guess I see where we're going with. But I have a hard time with this one, accept it. So sorry, I'm going to agree to disagree. So thank you.
Sure, I can say one more.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy to agree to disagree. I think I have a different opinion. I do view PIO position in general as a luxury. I'm not really interested in changing my vote on that, and I think we can just agree on it. So.
Yeah. Yes.
My question is the only funded one, because we're not looking at all of them. Why are we looking at them? That's only comment.
And I would agree with, we find more, we look at it. As far as the information being spread, people that do that are purposely doing it. They come in here, purposely spreading information, and do we really want it's a PO whoever to sit and combat that kind of activity? You can't. You really can't. You said it. That's not like official. You're arguing. People get whatever they want, because they know like the official can't do anything about it. And that's what they do. Purposely come up here, spread information, hope a little media outlet picks up as fact. We can't start combating these types of people. That's not what it's about. Fortunately, it is what it is.
In that, I entertain a motion, in last week's recommendations to the modification to a present today, eventually $5 million, if not less, based on further analysis. Bring back conversation later on public safety departments, hiring freeze, additional week to explore solutions for the libraries situation, selling 11 Vs, looking at the morale later, and would reviewing potential council to be shifted to subvention funding if possible.
Yeah, moved stated.
First, give a second. First is roll call, please.
Supervisor Husky?
Yes.
Supervisor Zing?
Yes.
Supervisor Salo?
Nope.
Supervisor Kura?
No.
Supervisor Velasquez? 3-2, motion passes.
Thank you. We would be continuing this meeting up to final adoption. We are adjourned.